Happy 2026. This is my movie review number 7. I tried to get this movie review in before 2026. I just didn't have time. Might be rambling a little bit just because this weekend is one of those rare weekends where I have absolutely nothing to do on Saturday, so I just slept a lot, and so my sleep pattern's kind of messed up. It's early morning Sunday. But I'm going to be reviewing another foreign movie. It's a fiction movie. This one's called Amores Perros from 2000, and it's a Mexican movie. It's directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Innaritu, who I believe he went on to make American movies. And I think he won Oscars, at least one Oscar, if not two. I think I've seen his American movies, I just don't remember. Okay, so it's a 2.5 hour movie, and it's an epic drama. It stars Emilio Echeverria as El Chivo, Gael Garcia Bernal as Octavio, and Goya Toledo as Valeria, with the last actress being Spanish, the first two actors being Mexican. So it's a movie set in Mexico City, and it is a breathtakingly beautiful movie. It's one of those movies where it's like when I reviewed The Elephant Sitting Still, that movie, 3 different characters, and their stories kind of intersect. There really is no way for me to describe how great this movie is without like giving you all the details. You really have to just watch the movie. The first time I saw this movie was, I think I was in middle school, was when it first came out, or when it first came out on DVD, like the year after release. So again, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and the sort of theme of the movie revolves around dogs. So the title of the movie is Amores Perros, which translates to like a pun in English, which is loves a bitch. So that's the through line of the movie is dogs, and that's what dogs are what create the connection between our 3 characters and their separate stories. Again, it's a foreign movie, and so if you don't like reading subtitles and so forth, I'm sure you can find a dub version. Like, it's totally worth it. Personally, I mean, I grew up in a border town. I grew up learning Spanish and English at the same time. I also took 4 years of Spanish in high school, so I have, yo puedo entiende 50% Spanish, basically. When I'm at a checkout line in a store and somebody's behind me saying, el chino or whatever, I can understand everything. So I really love watching this movie because I can understand most of it. And so what is the movie about? It's about life in Mexico City in the year 2000. And it focuses on 3 stories. And it's very interesting because the first story is about a working class group or family. The second story is an upper class or very upper middle class family. And the last story is about a homeless guy. And the story mostly revolves around love. Dogs are a plot device in the story, mostly. That's all they are. They're a plot device. And the movie does have dog fighting scenes, but they're done with, full... They didn't hurt any animals during filming. They did it with sedatives, tranquilizers, all of that. I love dogs. I grew up with a dog from age 12 to 26, and I still haven't gotten over my dog's death when he was 14. But yeah, so this is one of those, again, anthology movies where it's 3 characters' stories intersecting. So think something like Pulp Fiction or Magnolia, that's American, or An Elephant Sitting Still, which is Chinese. This is set in Mexico City, and the flavor of the movie is distinctly Mexican. And I don't know how to really describe that except just comparing it to like an Elephant Sitting Still, which is a Chinese movie. It's very Confucian. It's very Chinese in the flavor. There's a lot of importance placed on what is not said and not done, as opposed to what is said and what is done. Characters are very demure. There's almost no outbursts. There's one outburst. It's very Asian, is what I mean. And something like Pulp Fiction, it's very American. It's very irreverent. It's very self-referential. It's very self-indulgent. It's very funny. And Magnolia, it's very melodramatic and very quirky. So it's American. But neither of those movies, except maybe the Chinese movie, but Pulp Fiction and Magnolia as like anthology movies, they're not even close to being as raw as Amores Perros. Amores Perros is just it's just a movie that just hits you right in the gut. It's like a gut punch movie. It's a movie that floors you, and because it's so old, I think it was well known when it came out. It was celebrated at international film festivals and so on, but it's from 2000, and it's definitely worth rewatching. First of all, the setting, Mexico City, it's beautifully shot. When I say Mexico City is beautiful, I don't mean that like, it's futuristic metropolis like, Japan or Korea or parts of China. I mean that it's shot beautifully. You get to see all the grime, all the shine, the rich people, the middle class people, the poor people, and it's shot like almost in a documentary style. So you're not really paying that close of attention to the camera. You're really focused on what's on screen and what the characters are doing. So the first story is called Octavio and Susana, and I don't want to spoil too much, but like I don't think you can really spoil this movie at all. You can like go through the entire plot, read the Wikipedia page, and still watch it and just be like, oh my gosh, how awesome was that? So the first story is Octavio and Susana. Octavio's kind of a 20-something ne'er-do-well. He doesn't have a job. He's not in school. He lives at home with his mom. He has like a homie that he hangs out with, but they're not gangsters. They come into contact with gangsters, and Octavio has an older brother who just works at a supermarket, but he also has a second life. His second life is he's a criminal. He is an actual gangster. He uses guns, he robs banks, robs grocery stores, so on and so forth. Octavio's brother has a wife called Susana, and Octavio is a very mean-spirited person. He's very abusive toward her. They have a baby. They have another one on the way. And Octavio has always been in love with Susana. And so it's about him trying to chase her, trying to get her, even though she's married. It's about him learning some really hard lessons about life, lust, love, and so forth, and also culture, and so forth. I'm sure Catholic culture, is really present in this movie. It seems to be. And so what happens is Octavio decides to use his dog named Coffee to start dogfighting. And it turns out Coffee is a crazy, crazy dog. He is the Mike Tyson of dogs, essentially. And but shit starts happening. They start winning a shit ton of matches. He makes a lot of money. He buys Susana, and the baby a whole lot of stuff. And they have plans to run away together. And then, not gonna spoil it. And then, the second part is Danielle and Valeria. Danielle is an executive at an advertising company, magazine, and he has a wife and 2 kids, but he's having an affair with a younger woman who is a model, and it's all roses and sunshine until something happens. They get an apartment together. The girlfriend is famous. She's a supermodel. She just had this, new contract. She's most famous for her long, thin leg, not thin, but, long, sexy legs or what have you. And they move into the apartment and shit goes down, which I will not spoil. The third movie it's called El Chivo y Maru. And El Chivo, well, let me just say that, during Octavio and Susana and during all the 3 sections of the movie, the other characters show up. So El Chivo will show up in Octavio and Susana. He'll show up in Danielle and Valeria. Danielle and Valeria will show up in Octavio and Susana. So it's very intertwined. So again, the third one is El Chivo and Maru. And El Chivo is this homeless guy who, oh, by the way, in Danielle and Valeria, even though I didn't want to spoil it, they also have a dog. And it's like their baby. It's a tiny toy dog. Okay, El Chivo is kind of like a homeless dude. He's just rummaging around Mexico City, which is beautifully shot. And so that's what he comes off as until you actually get into his story and learn a little bit about his history. So he is like this 60-year-old homeless guy with, a huge beard, and he's being played by Emilia Echeverria, who's one of the most famous older Mexican actors. But when you actually come to his story in the last third, you learn about his history, you learn about how he became homeless, and you learn about his family life because he actually did have a family. And so that's all I'm going to say about the movie. Like, there is not very much to spoil. It's just that in all three stories, a lot of drama happens, and it's very easy to relate to. And the movie doesn't really have any messaging. It's not like, it doesn't try to proselytize to you in any manner. It just shows you what happens. And so what kind of unites all three stories together is a major car accident, which involves Octavio, Valeria, and also El Chivo. And again, El Chivo also has like, 8 or 9 dogs that he keeps because he's a homeless guy. But anyway, the movie, there really isn't a theme to the movie. It's just about life, love, happiness, sadness, lust, cheating, lying, all the full range of human emotions you can think of. So I would say this is probably my second favorite fiction movie of all time. For me, it's a 15 out of 10. My favorite fiction movie of all time, like I said before, is Halloween. I know that's kind of like weird, but I just think, that's just a technically perfect movie and thematically perfect movie. It's got my favorite scene in all movies ever made, the hedge scene with Laurie Strode and her friends walking through the hedge and seeing Michael Myers. But anyway, that's my favorite. This is my second favorite, and it just hits so hard. And we have a lot of Mexican Americans in the U.S., and but I think people have a really skewed view or picture of Mexico. And this movie kind of shows you like Mexico is just like any other country. It takes place in the capital. There's poor people, there's rich people. There's a lot of, they have lives just like everybody else. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful movie. It really hits you hard. I wouldn't say it's an uplifting movie. It's one of those movies that just gives you a gut punch, and you just think about for days and days and days. And by now, I've watched it probably 7 or 8 times. It's a 2.5-hour movie. I've watched it 7 or 8 times, and it's just such an amazing movie. Again, Amores, Perros from 2000 by Alejandro Gonzalez Innaritu. It also has a banging soundtrack, awesome Mexican soundtrack. There's a song in there by Naka Pop called Lucha de Gigantes, and that's actually the first song I ever tried to play on guitar and sing at the same time, because I can speak some Spanish. So yeah, I learned that song like over 10 years ago. It's a really beautiful song. It's like a ballad. It's like I think it's G major, A major, D major into E minor, and then into A major, major third, add a half step, what have you. And it's called Lucha de Gigantes. And this movie, again, it's called Amores Perros, and it's just an amazing anthology movie. I've never seen an anthology movie that is as great as this one, where you have like separate stories intertwining. Because in my opinion, each one of these stories could be its own movie, and it would still be just absolutely amazing. Now, my favorite stories are the first one and the last one. The one in the middle does leave a little to be desired, but it is also the shortest one. So, but you might like the one in the middle more. It's about a husband who cheats on his wife with a younger model, and bad stuff happens. And so there is a lot of negativity and negative things happening to our characters in this movie. It's very emotional. It will get you emotional. You may even cry. I think I have cried watching this before. I can't remember now, but yeah, it's totally recommended. Again, Amores Perros, 2000. And again, this is Alejandro Gonzalez Innaritu, who won an Oscar, I think, or Golden Globes and Emmys. So he's a fan-fucking-tastic director, and this is his first movie, and I think it's his best movie. I happen to think the same about Justin Lin. Justin Lin is a Taiwanese American director, and he's like one of the top, like number one or number two money makers for Hollywood, because he made like the Fast and Furious franchise after number 5. So he's made a shit ton of like top grossing movies. But the first movie he's ever made, and I'll probably review this someday because it's a pretty obscure movie, is called Better Luck Tomorrow. And it's about growing up as an Asian American in late 90s, early 2000s, Southern California, which is directly, my experience. And I remember going to the theater and watching it with my friends. It's a fantastic movie. I don't think Justin Lin's made a better movie than that ever since. And he's used, actors in that movie, but that's kind of beside the point. I'll review that one later on in due course. But Amores Perros, it's English translation, loves a bitch. It's a pun. And again, it is a gut punch of a movie. It is, it just hits you in the feels. If you're an empathetic person, this movie will just leave you reeling for days. Seriously, that's how good it is. And it's not like a happy ending or anything. It's very realistic. It's not sunshine and rainbows. It's not the prince gets the girl at the end, kisses her, and they go home happily ever after. It's nothing like that. It's very realistic, and so it's very relatable. And the acting in the movie is just top notch. Octavio, who's played by Gael Bernal Garcia, he was at one point he was the most famous movie star of Mexican extraction in the whole world, like in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Emilio Echeverria, again, is a classic, legendary Mexican actor. And the third star, Goya Toledo, she's Spanish, so I'm not too familiar with her, but this movie is super highly recommended. My prior movie reviews, I've had a few negative reviews, but aside from maybe 2 negative reviews, all of the movies I've reviewed are super highly recommended, and this is probably the second highest recommended. I really recommend people watch Hoop Dreams. That is, like, bar none, the greatest movie of all time. But I also super recommend Amores Perros. You should definitely watch it. It's a fiction movie. It's pretty long. You gotta sit through subtitles, but I promise you it's worth it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful movie about every aspect of life, the whole spectrum of human emotions. And so, yeah, Amores Perros, 2000, you can rent it. You can probably find it for free on YouTube. Go watch it. It's totally recommended. 15 out of 10.